Hello again, Pastor Michael Jarbo here. Welcome to another edition of Soul Care, Conversations to help renew the spirit. I'm glad you're here. Check out today's episode. All right, hello and welcome to another edition of Soul Care, Conversations about renewing the spirit. And today, I'm really excited about our guest on Soul Care today. It is Miss Sonja Gee. She is the president and CEO of MAM. MAM stands for Memorial Assistance Ministries. MDUMC has a long history with MAM, and when you look at the wall that's got sort of the heroes of MAM, the founders of MAM, even the board of trustees today, you'll see a lot of Memorial Drive United Methodist Church connections there. And so we love MAM. Our own Candace Kirby, who's our director of outreach and missions at the church, said, "You, for Soul Care, have got to reach out to Sonja Gee." And I thought she was a genius, brilliant. And so I'm so glad to get some time with you today. How are you doing, Sonja? How's life? How are you and your family doing right now?
Hi, Michael. Well, certainly, thank you so much for the opportunity to share a little bit about, the work that MAM's doing right now in the middle of this COVID situation. We're hanging in there as a family. You know, it's been the ups and downs just like everybody else. I have 3 kids at home right now, so we're both working, parenting, homeschooling, just like so many, really trying to make the adjustments and figure out the new rhythms in our lives. You know, on a real personal level, you know, we did have an extended family member who we've lost because of COVID, which was really, really difficult. And so in addition to, you know, what we see in the community through, you know, the work that we're doing at MAM, you know, we do recognize how deeply difficult and personal, you know, this situation is to so many. So, you know, my heart goes out to all the rest of you who have experienced lots of the challenges, you know, whether it's a loss of employment, you know, a health concern, or a loss even of life. It has been very difficult. But that being said, you know, it's also been just really wonderful to see how, as is always the case here in Houston and around the faith community, people coming together in community has just been so meaningful for those who really are struggling in this challenging time.
Thank you for sharing, and so sorry about your extended family member, and prayers for you, and thank you for sharing that. And yeah, we are a team. We're in this together. You can see that Houston is a city that knows about working together and strengthening one another. And so yeah, we're in this together. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so I want to hear a little bit about your background with first, like, how did you get connected with MAM? How did you get to this place? And maybe you can share a little bit for those who might not know you too well.
Yeah, I would love to. So, so I'm born and raised here in Houston, actually not all that far away from the MDUMC campus. I went to Walnut Bend Elementary and Paul Revere Middle School. And so, you know, certainly the area, have lots of friends that grew up and have been a part of that community. I actually did many years ago, a summer camp at MDUMC. So awesome. Many years ago, very fun. But I, you know, when I finished my grad work, I spent about 10 years working in Mexico as a missionary. And my husband and I also owned a small business, and we're just very active in local community development, as well as the work of the church. And so we, about 6 years ago, came back to Houston, which is where I was born and raised, and all my family lives. And I took a job at an organization called Main Street Ministries. And it's also, you know, it's a faith-based organization that was connected with primarily First Presbyterian Church, but also did a lot of work with St. Paul's and some other churches right around the Main Street corridor. Focused a lot on homelessness, but also working on strengthening families. And so that work really, you know, bridged quite directly into the work over at MAM. So, you know, I've been on the team at MAM since last late August, early September. And I'm officially leading over the 3rd disaster since I've been on board. But what has been really amazing has not only been the incredible welcome from the entire faith community and the supporters that MAM has, just a deep, deep commitment across the area for our work, and getting to know all the incredible people, those who have been volunteers, those who have been donors, those who have been, leaders on our board. It's really amazing, meeting with the Congregation Council, who are the representatives from all the faith communities, just to see the commitment that's out there from everybody coming together to serve the rest of our community. So it's been an honor and a privilege so far to be a part of this incredible work.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you gave me a tour, which, by the way, it was a game changer for me to understand what MAM was all about, to get to go on a tour with you. And I don't know if you're probably not the one. I may have gotten some special privileges on getting a tour with the present CEO of MAM to understand that, but it was so eye-opening to see MAM. And so, let me kind of ask you, I think I may have seen you between Disaster 2 and now Disaster 3. I was kind of right in that way. It feels like years ago, but it was probably only 6 months. It was Christmas time. It was Advent, actually. Yeah. I remember that. Do you remember that? And I think you got me breakfast tacos, which were so delicious. Mm-hmm. El Rey breakfast tacos.
It was nice to break bread together, something that right now we've all been missing, isn't it? Right?
Right. You just, gosh, you're so, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, certainly we would love to give any of the viewers, anybody who's out there that's hearing this, that wants to come and take a tour of MAM, we're happy to do that. I do think that coming and, being able to see our campus in action, of course, right now, we're pretty much all remote, so maybe we'll hold off on those tours until later. But it's really incredible over the almost 40 years that MAM has been working together with the congregations to, continue to build services that meet the needs of the community. And as those needs have changed, so have our services evolved. And so, while MAM in its early years was kind of known more for our resale store, which I know started some of your members, selling out of a garage and going to this tiny thrift store, now to becoming one of, the city's premier resale stores, which is amazing and raises, significant amount of funds for us every year in the work we do. And so a lot of people that have been on, supporting MAM since that time know that we're here to provide that basic needs assistance to make sure that every family in our community can really have the means to meet their basic needs. But over the years and over the decades, we've continued to develop, and we've understood that the needs go beyond that, and being able to help our community access services, education services that help them to increase their skills, increase their job opportunities. We have employment services programs. We have one of the city's largest ESL programs. All of our teachers are volunteers. Most of them are from the churches. We have mental health services. We have immigration and legal services. We also help people, in their applications with benefits. And we do a lot of partnerships with that bring services to our campus, like legal services, immunization clinics. The list kind of goes on and on. We're really here to help families move from a place of crisis, which we see so much right now, to a place of stability, but then to move on from that to a place of thriving where they can provide for themselves and contribute richly to their families and to our community.
That's the beautiful thing that I love about MAM, is it's not like, okay, we'll get you out of the hole. Now you're out of the hole. Bye. Right. It's you're with them for the journey, right? You're alongside with them beyond just getting out of the hole, but then into their next accomplishment and their next accomplishment. You walk alongside so many lives and change them along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much like the church, and understanding that, spiritual growth is a journey, and, it takes time, it takes relationships, it takes walking out the good and the bad and being there together. And I think that, that the roots that we have that came out of, these desires of the people in the faith community to be there and to love our neighbors in a way that was most impactful continues to be the heart of who we are today. And, we do work with individuals, not just on a, in and out basis, but on a long-term relational, what's the next step? And so there are some families that we'll see, one time, and it'll be a couple of years before they're at a different stage in their life and they come back and engage in another program and service. It's really different for every family. So, certainly one thing I think that we're we're seeing right now with COVID is it has been the trust that we've built with the community over the decades that places us in, in a place where people from the community come, they seek our support in a time like this, and they know it, it's not just about money. It's about, what do I do? This is the first time I've ever been unemployed. Where do I go, when I need this or that? And we've seen a significant increase both in the demand of our mental health counseling, as well as even financial, education and counseling programs that we have. So, it's been really, it's been a tough couple months, as you can imagine, but our team's just really been phenomenal in shifting so quickly to virtual services so that we never had to stop serving the community, and just continuing to be available for the incredible needs, which are more than fivefold what we saw a couple months ago.
Yeah, you said you've gone to work remotely as
Mm-hmm.
a team for MAM. So yeah, what are if you don't mind, and I know there's we could do just a whole show on the list of things that people are needing, but what are
Yeah.
what are some of the during right now? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the resale store is probably not open. Obviously, there's some other breaking bread, those kind of face-to-face pieces that are.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the work that you're doing? Probably the stuff that's at the forefront of
Mm-hmm.
your work on a daily basis right now.
Yeah. So right now we've ramped up what we're calling, our COVID-19 response program. And, it's really great to be able to do this interview with you because, MAM was formed in the early 80s when there was an economic crisis and the churches were looking for how to respond because more and more folks were, filing for unemployment and finding challenges maintaining, income to support their family. It is what we're seeing today. So it was, a different situation, but, there was some similarities of why MAM was created. Well, here we are again, and it's exciting that we're now in a much more robust position to be able to step in and provide that help to the community. So the most, the biggest part of our COVID response program is the financial assistance piece. Yeah. We're fielding calls. A lot of it at the beginning is just helping people, think through what is their plan and process. At the beginning it was, do they need to talk to their mortgage company? Do they need to talk to, if they have a car note, what are the different bills that they're going to, be challenged with, and how do they plan out, what it could look like if they're, waiting for an unemployment check, and, what does that mean financially for their family? So some of it is just helping people walk through that, but then we are providing financial assistance for rent, for utilities, and some, additional expenditures that could be potentially health related or, communication related. In addition to that, like I mentioned, we have what we're calling stability coaching that we're providing, and that's through a variety of different other programs that families themselves or individuals can, choose to be a part of. So it's employment services, which at this point is also completely online. Our employment certification programs are being done, with a platform like a Zoom platform. Our intake forms are all digital right now. We're meeting with people one-on-one by phone or by video conference. The other program that we have going on is mental health counseling. And so we've really seen just an incredible need and, people more than ever accessing these services. And something that we've actually learned, which I think has been, really great, there's also lots of learning in this process, is telehealth is such a valuable tool, especially for service providers or communities, like the church, who are trying to reach out to some of the most vulnerable members of our community, who may not be able to come physically to our campus, whether it's because of transportation limitations, time limitations, and in some cases just, the shame or the taboo of having to reach out and ask for help. And so now that people are able to do it from the confines of their home in the privacy, of the space, we have really found that more people than ever are seeking mental health and financial coaching services that we've made available. So that's sort of, the main package of that. But at the same time, we're still running our ESL classes.
Right.
They look a lot different than they did before.
Sure.
And, I mean, kudos to all of our amazing teachers, our volunteers who have been super flexible and patient as we've worked to set up that new technology. We are now teaching through Zoom classes, and it's a whole new world out there, but it's also very exciting because we do see how, even moving into the future, using these new technologies, we'll be able to continue reaching more and more people, and, making the resources that we have stretch even farther with our, with the impact.
Oh my gosh. There's so much to unpack from what you
I know.
everything you said was so good. The two things is just, yes, on the Zoom call piece. I mean, um, Zoom has now opened up a new and this telework, uh, hospitality, teleministry that you're doing, you're engaging in, Sonja and the MAM team. The extension of people that you can reach is just now goes beyond, and this time has created those who would consider themselves illiterate in technological connection.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be literate to
Mm-hmm.
maneuver and to connect with people. And so I'm so glad. It's just what you just think about the ripple effects this has done,
Right.
and
Yeah.
how much transitioning. And I mean, you're just like, you're mouthing it off beautifully and like speaking it fluently, but I know how much work had to go into getting all those online forms, educating people on how to use the technology, not just the people that you're helping out, but your team.
Absolutely.
The same at the church is we've got people who have moved from like a 5 on the tech scale to a 7 and a 2 to a 4, and they have to make these leaps because now they feel more comfortable there. So good. The other piece is about just mental health. And I love that MAM has an emphasis there on mental health, because we at MUMC are really seeing an uptick in abuse, in loneliness, in just yeah. And I've had to move my as a person who prides myself on going to therapy, I've had to move to my the Zoom calls for my therapist. And is it the same? No. But do I need it more than ever? Yes. And people still need that attribute, a place they can go and speak to and share their inner longings, difficulties. And so I'm so glad y'all are providing that. I'm sure the stories there are incredible.
Yeah, it's been a really important piece of our work, and I think it's something that not just MAM, but as you mentioned, the faith community, for people to remain connected, to have a space and a place where they can, share their challenges and voice those and be heard is really important. We've actually, even among just for our staff, because it is so difficult, they're day in, day out. I mean, call after call after call, being, the listening ear to folks who are experiencing crisis, some of them for the first time, ever. And so it's hard work also, for our team. And so we've been really fortunate, because we do have mental health counselors on our staff. We have regular mindfulness and, spiritual care meetings that really give us the space, even, within our working day, to be able to decompress and share and, to kind of recenter, because it is that important to, I told my team, I'm like, it's a sprint and a marathon, because everyone's saying, oh, it can't be, it's not just a sprint, but no, it's both. And so being able to, keep up with that. And there's something else that you mentioned that, we learned very early on, which was the thing about the technology and changing, like everyone's capacity to utilize technology. It's been really challenging because, like in so many cases, in times of crisis, the most vulnerable in our community are impacted exponentially, right? And so we see that in the employment arena. It's the folks who earn the least, who, have the least capacity to telework, who are most susceptible and at the most risk in their jobs, who often tend to also have least access to healthcare, and the least resources to be responsive. Well, we also find that, for so many of the individuals and families we serve, computer and technological literacy is extremely low in comparison. And so, one of the first things that, our team brought to the table to say, hey, something that we need to really probably think about in our programming going forward is, it's technology and computer literacy. So, while we do provide other types of adult, basic education, we've recognized that as the whole world has gone virtual so quickly, and all of a sudden we're asking people to upload documents and sign here,
Right.
and all of this is being done on your phone, or, if you have a computer at home,
Yeah.
we just see once again that, those families who, may not have the resources to have the technology, are once again left out. And so, we just continue to, seek out opportunities to support in that area. But just like you mentioned, I mean, it's been a learning curve for everybody, and certainly a challenge. But I've been really, really, really proud of MAM's team, our staff, as well as our volunteers, and quite honestly, the supporters who have trusted in our work, have invested, have been a part of MAM's work, and just continue to just generously support us, knowing that, I mean, we've been, on 200% at least, if not more so, for a couple months now. So,
Right.
yeah.
So that kind of makes me want to shift one of our last questions I got for you a little bit about you leading such a team, and you've got so many different players at different different levels of workload and wanting to do more, or trying to back up to be safe, and you've just got a variety of things. I'm the acting senior pastor at Memorial Drive right now, and it is both a gift and a wild challenge, because you've got so many people at different paces and pages of where they feel comfortable in all of this.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a level of fear, but it's who's willing to be the guinea pig to take the step forward, who's taking the step back. So maybe this is a little bit of a selfish question on my end, but what are you telling your staff? Besides, and this came from it's both a sprint and a marathon. What and for people who are a part of staffs, or are run staffs who might be listening to this, or who are trying to engage with the workforce, how are you? What kind of wisdom are you sharing with them about how to function the best way possible during this time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the most important thing that our team has done along the way has been just constant communication. There are so many changes. It's not, you can't even say daily, I mean, hourly, that are going on in all different aspects of our work, from the financial part to the program part to the relational. I mean, there's just so many pieces, right? And the reality is, like you mentioned, we're all different. The way that we function is different. Our needs are different. I have staff members that have family members, they have kids they need to take care of at home, and they may be a single parent. I have other staff members who, they may be in a totally different situation from that. And so, we have continued to communicate to our team what our priorities are as an organization, right? And so being able to demonstrate that the health and well-being of our staff is an utmost priority of ours, and all of the things that we're doing, every step along the way to ensure that we as an organization are maintaining that care. It's hard when we're first getting information and doing our planning, now it's, months ago, and no one even thought that we'd ever have to go to stay at home or anything. We came out with our plan of what are the different phases and what would happen if certain things happen. And the more we communicate, I think, our team has definitely recognized that it's been helpful for them, because they know we're following, we're listening, we're learning about what the newest and most updated information is from the health officials, from government officials, and we're doing everything we can to make sure everything is safe. We're allowing them to provide lots of input as we're, crafting our reopening plans and phases.
Sure.
What are the things that will make them, know that they're safe, and what are the resources that we're making available. I think all that's been really important. The other thing that to me personally has been important, because I know that our job, and so many of our team, our frontline staff, it's really difficult, the work that they're doing every single day. It's mentally, it's physically, and it's emotionally exhausting. And we know that, we're only as good to care for others as, we've cared for ourselves. We can only continue to serve if we ourselves are in a place where we're well. And so we have continuously offered both opportunities, but also communicated to our team how important it is that they're able to take care of themselves.
Good.
And that, we, from the top down, and bottom up. We're all interested in that. So, we have a staff member who's a yoga instructor, and she's put up videos to our staff so they can do
Oh, so
throughout
good.
the day. We have people who are sharing their favorite recipes or ways that they center, whether it's doing something with their pets or their children or cooking. And so we have a lot of those conversations going on just so that there's an ongoing awareness that, whether it's centering prayer, whether it's taking, the 5 minutes away when you feel like you're getting anxious or stressed out, where we share that we recognize it's something we're all feeling and experiencing. And as an organization, we try to demonstrate that we're here to support each of our employees, and we know that each one of their situations is different. When we first were asking high risk people, not to, be in the building, it was really challenging. We had volunteers that, they love MAM so much, they were committed and wanted to be there,
Oh,
right? And so, really managing the tensions of, what is in the best interest of everyone that's a part of our work, and us caring for each other. I think that that's the best that we can do. And so far, everyone has just really had a great attitude. People have been very honest and upfront about the things that they are concerned about. And I think our whole team has been just incredibly responsive to support one another and find ways that they can stay connected and be caring to one another.
awesome. Oh, I
Yeah.
love to hear that. And
Yeah.
communication is so key during this time.
Mm-hmm.
Just to know, even just saying, "How are you?" Right? Or what this is all about is sort of just, "How's your soul?" Right? John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist
Mm-hmm.
movement, that was one of the questions he asked all of his, church planters, church and pastors, is, "How is your soul?" And that communication of checking
Mm-hmm.
in is such a vital piece, and I love that y'all are doing that as a team. So awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I've mentally written down some of those things, and I will I'll follow up with you about how they are interacted or enacted at MDMC. Okay. Last question, Sonja Gee, are you ready? We ask everybody at the very end, as we're talking, as this thing is called soul care. We're just asking people that, what is this unique, unprecedented, fill in whatever word you want, frustrating, sad, difficult time? What is this time in your life teaching you about your
Hmm.
soul?
Hmm. Deep. um, it takes me back to, that decade that I spent in Mexico, where I was, deeply embedded in a community where resources, maybe financial and material resources were limited, but there was just this really rich sense of life and community and family and, spiritual flourishing. And, in some ways, in the middle of all of what's happening, having to be pared back down to those basic life essentials, spending more time with my family, really asking myself, all the things that I'm not able to do right now in my life, how many of those things really are essential to life? How many of them are life-giving? And how can I as an individual, or we as a family, be thoughtful, once we move on, from the current situation, to take the lessons we've learned about the things that we've loved, but also what we've needed, or where we want to invest our time and our resources. I think that question just keeps coming back up over and over again of like, what do we really all need? Me, Sonja, as an individual, but then I see it so much, with the generosity in our community through MAM, which is, there are families that have so much, and they recognize, wow, there are hundreds of thousands of people in our city right now that don't know how they're going to feed their family, pay their rent, or take care of those needs, and those very basic needs, and the people connection part of it. I really believe that God created us to be in community. And so, making sure that I continue to have the opportunities in my schedule and in my life to connect to those people that God has graciously put into my life where I can, renew my spirit and my strength. Those coupled with the time that I spend personally and, in my faith community with my personal time with God are what have been essential. And so just ensuring that those things stay at the top of my priority. I was going to say I don't think things will ever get back to normal. And ironically, in our case, which is probably your case also, as we move forward, it may actually, it may lighten our load slightly to some extent for a while. Right. But it's exciting even just to have conversations throughout the community with other folks about what we are learning and, how we will, creatively approach our lives moving forward.
Mm. You did a great job answering that question too. Excellent. Yeah. Community is so important and we have to keep that up. And it's a very different avenue, but it's so important. I think that's, God made us to be with one another. So we got to keep that up. And so I was going to say, Sonja, this has been awesome. Thank you for the great work. Give me the short, give me the real details. If people want to help out MAM today, what can they do? Give me, obviously it's different than it was a few months ago. What can they do today in this COVID-19 world to help?
Okay, well, first off, of course, financial contributions are very welcome at this time. What most families need is they do just need to, they need financial assistance. So that is, one way that we're able to help. But we also, we need volunteers. We are now, in the process of reopening of the resale store. And so a lot of our high-risk volunteers who have so faithfully, served in that area for so long aren't really safe to come back into those positions. So we're looking for, other people to come temporarily, take up those roles. That's really important. And, teaching and all the other things that we're doing. And the other thing is that, as we are, reopening our store, our donation center this week just reopened, which is really exciting. It's Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 10 to 2. So it's really reduced hours. All of the donations are being, set aside and, a waiting period and sterilized before they go into our warehouse. So we have lots of extra precautions. So that's another way, donating, your goods to be sold in our resale store. And the other exciting thing is, in this new virtual world, we have taken our resale store online and live. So you can shop MAM resale. Yes.
Awesome.
Either through our online shop, which you can see through our website, or we're doing, several times a week live Facebook sales. So it's a fun way to connect with other people. You can see some of the merchandise, and remember, everything you purchase at MAM is going straight back into these programs that support the community. So those are all ways that you can continue to support us. We've had folks, from the churches also sew us masks and other things like that. All of it has been highly appreciated, and we couldn't do our work without you.
Great. Sonja, thank you so much for your time today. Blessings to MAM, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Michael. Blessings to you all. Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out Soul Care. Join us again next week at noon on Friday. Have a great weekend. Bye.